It's not just one type of fiber you need a variety, a lot of different types of fiber. Why? That gives your bowel flora, your gut intestines, resilience. So things work better, not just that you're growing a good bacteria, but you're growing a lot of different types of good bacteria. So those kind of people, when they take antibiotics, doesn't affect them. They don't get diarrhea, they don't have issues. They're done with their antibiotics, and the good bacteria just grow back like normal, and they don't have an issue.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Healthy Heart webinar. It's a mystery guest. Oh, there he is. It's Dr. Saunders today. Welcome. Okay, so Facebook friends, so sorry. Those of you who are watching on Facebook, I tell you what, I can only share it to my personal page at this point. So it's getting shared other places. And in fact, I think, Derek, when you edit this, you can take all this out because this doesn't need to be on YouTube. But we are excited that you guys are here today. We are going to talk about the high fiber diet, why it's important, how it affects our heart, why Dr. Saunders thinks it's so great, what he's found out about it. And those of you who join us on our the webinar that we do about type 2 diabetes, you're going to say, wait a minute, what? Why am I eating this many carbs for my heart? Or can I do both? And it's okay to ask those questions. We want you to ask those questions because it is a little bit different. The fun thing that carries over into all of the solution kits that we have here is that there is never a time where you shouldn't try to reduce your stress or exercise. I don't think we've ever written a solution kit that said, try to be full of stress and quit exercising. Do we have any of those out there? I don't think so. Some of you would be looking for those, wouldn't you? But no, those are still the important things in our Healthy Heart Solution Kit. And we're going to talk about those today. So say hello if you guys are on. I know we'll have some of you joining on Facebook. In fact, I need to share this. While I do that, Dr. Saunders, would you mind giving us a disclaimer?
Okay. The information that we give is for general information and may not apply to you specifically. So make sure it applies to you. And that's really key because like today, we're talking about a diet and we're talking about having a high fiber diet. You know what? Some people don't tolerate fiber very well and they have a low residue diet. And so just because I say, boy, the high fiber diet is so good for human beings, that does not necessarily mean you're a human being, that it applies to you. So be careful to apply it properly in your situation.
Yes, good stuff. And so guys, if you have questions that come up while we're going through this, feel free, if you're on Zoom, to post those in the Q&A. Those of you on Facebook, you can put those in the chat. We'll do our best to answer as many of those as we can. I'm going to see if I can get this shared. Wish I knew who was watching. I think Kevin oh, go ahead.
Ashley said she was a heaven-bound alien here. Gosh, you know what? I just love that even aliens are on our program. You know, we're not just a worldwide webinar, we're a universe-wide webinar.
That is awesome. How's the connection there? That's what I want to know. All right. Okay. Any of the Barton team that's on, if you're watching on Facebook right now, can you share this to the Barton publishing page? I would appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started here. First of all, let's talk about those of you who maybe are new to the webinar. We mostly are talking about the Healthy Heart Solution Kit. And so what we've been doing in these past webinars is really breaking this down, talking about the different areas in the book, different supplements that are beneficial to you, your type of diet, exercise, stress management. Boy, what else have we talked about? So many different things. Natural ways to reduce inflammation or to prevent heart disease, etc. The thing that we're going to really talk about today is kind of the foundation, I would say, of this Healthy Heart Solution Kit, and that is the high fiber diet. Why is that, Dr. Saunders? What have you found? Why high fiber?
Oh, well, first of all, many years ago, there was a study done by Dean Ornish, who's cardiologist in Northern California, and he found that that people who ate a very low-fat diet could reverse their heart disease. And so he actually wrote a book on how to reverse heart disease. and and then another doctor, Dr. McDougall, had a similar kind of thing, very low-fat diet, all natural foods. And then Dr. Esselstyn also came up with the same thing. So in looking at that diet, on the one hand, you can say, okay, a very low-fat diet helps, but they're all natural foods, very low in fat. And what are you going to have? You're going to have a very high fiber diet. And what does fiber do? Well, it changes a lot of things. It decreases your inflammation. So inflammation is something that is a big deal for heart disease. You could even have gum disease in your mouth, increasing your risk of heart disease because of the inflammation in your gums, and arthritis, and inflammation in your joints, and inflammatory bowel diseases. All of that increases your risk of heart disease because it increases your risk of vascular disease. So just the fact that this diet would lower inflammation is something that would actually help heart disease. There's other things to look at too. If you're not eating any processed foods, then you're not getting any oils, what we talked about last time, the omega-6 oils. And most of the foods that you're eating are going to be relatively high in omega-3. So if you're eating salads, and broccoli, you don't think of broccoli as a good source of oil. It's like just fiber, right? No, actually, a cup of broccoli has about 100 milligrams of omega-3 oil, and omega-3 decreases inflammation. And it's a 10-to-1 ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 oil in broccoli. So if you're eating stuff like broccoli and cauliflower and spinach and lettuce and kale and a lot of vegetables, then you're getting a much higher omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, which means your inflammation also goes down. With that, we talked about last time that the biggest difference in heart disease, cholesterol was tiny, if any at all. Inflammation is important. All these other things are important. You measure all your blood pressure and all that stuff. But by far, the biggest difference is the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. The difference between Greenland, where they have 70% of their blood is, or their oil is omega-3, because what do they eat? They're cold water fish, right? And then Japan, where they eat a lot of cold water fish, and their omega-3 to omega-6 is 4-to-1, omega-3 to omega-6. They also have very low death from heart disease. Whereas in the United States, where it's just the opposite, we have 4-to-1 to 20-to-1 omega-6 higher, then we have 200 deaths per 100,000, where they have 20 deaths per 100,000. So it's a 10 times difference. 10 times, not 10% like you're seeing with cholesterol. 10 times. That's 1,000%. So the difference is so huge. So yeah, we look at fiber, the high fiber diet. Oh, that's really great for you. The fiber is really good for you because it does other things. The fiber helps grow good bacteria in your intestines. And the good bacteria in your intestines decrease inflammation, and they help things function better. People who have good bacteria in their intestines, they don't get depressed as easily. They don't get Alzheimer's disease as easily. Their body functions better because of the type of bacteria that they're growing in their intestines. You might think that's unusual, but it's a thing. It's a real thing. They've done studies where they've taken people who are depressed, people who are not depressed, and they take the stool out of people who are not depressed and put it into the colon of people who are depressed, and it makes them not depressed. And they take the stool out of people who are depressed, put it in people not depressed, and it makes them depressed. this is the bacteria in the intestines. It's like a real thing. They did the same thing with obesity. They took bacteria from obese people, put it into skinny people, and they got fat, and vice versa. It's just weird. I mean, to us, it's weird, but it's a thing, you know.
I see a lot of where people are posting, show me someone who is depressed, and I'll show you someone who has bad gut flora. I mean, I see people say that a lot, that they're definitely related.
Yeah. So I've recommended a book, and the book is by a gastroenterologist who specializes in inflammatory bowel diseases. So he's always worked with inflammation in the bowel. And he says, dude, you gotta eat a high fiber diet. But it's not just like a high fiber diet. So some people, they think they're gonna take like Benefiber or Metamucil, or, you know, add a bunch of fiber, mix it in water and drink it down. Okay, done, good, done for the day. We have our fiber green solution, right? And we made the fiber greens so it had some nutrients because it has the greens in it. And it has different types of fiber in it. So that's a decent thing to add for people who aren't getting enough in their diet. Okay, so this has multiple different kinds of fiber, and that's a good thing. But by far, the best way to get your fiber is from your diet. And so Dr. Bolsheviks, who wrote the book Fiber Fueled, he explains very well why it's not just one type of fiber you need a variety, a lot of different types of fiber. Why? That gives your bowel flora, your gut intestines, resilience, so things work better, not just that you're growing a good bacteria, but you're growing a lot of different types of good bacteria. So those kind of people, when they take antibiotics, doesn't affect them. They don't get diarrhea. They don't have issues. They're done with their antibiotics, and the good bacteria just grow back like normal, and they don't have an issue. Another thing about fiber is adding in the probiotics. So fiber is a prebiotic. And a lot of people hear prebiotics, they go, what does that mean? Prebiotics are the food for the good bacteria, the probiotics. So the food for the probiotics is prebiotics, and that is fiber. So usually it's soluble fiber, some insoluble fiber. And so getting those prebiotics helps to grow the good bacteria. And if you continue to eat that way, then you get good broad spectrum bacteria. You get a lot of different types of bacteria. You don't just have one type. So that if you were to take an antibiotic and that one type dies off, then you get overgrowth of Clostridium or some horrible diarrhea or infection or something. So that's a great benefit for having a high fiber diet. So what does high fiber diet do? It decreases stress. It grows good bacteria. It gives you resilience in the case when things change in your diet or infections or whatever. It decreases inflammation for a lot of different reasons, omega-3, and it gets rid of the bad types of cholesterol. The fiber actually holds on to the bile acids so that you can excrete them. Bile acids are made out of cholesterol. You can excrete them, and so then your liver is using cholesterol to make new bile acids all the time, and that keeps like a good balance of cholesterol in your body too. Because remember, we talked about cholesterol is not the issue in heart disease, but balance is important. So that's where fiber is so good for you.
Awesome. I know some people who are often backed up, if you will. Is fiber a good way for those people to get more regular?
Oh, absolutely. So we're talking about heart disease, but
yeah.
Dr. Bolsheviks talks about all of the benefits of having high fiber. Diverticulosis, diverticulitis, Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, hemorrhoids. You can get rid of hemorrhoids by having a high fiber diet. It's really, really beneficial.
I want to ask you this too. I know that years ago, you taught me about this, but I know of a lot of people, and I know that many doctors are still telling people to use Miralax when they get backed up. What is Miralax?
Miralax is a propylene glycol. It's antifreeze actually. It's the stuff you put in your radiator of your car to prevent it from freezing or boiling over. And since it's not very well absorbed by the body, it's actually quite toxic. But since it's not well absorbed, then it doesn't really get toxic very easily. Unless you happen to have leaky gut, then you can actually get toxic from it. But most people don't. The problem is it holds on to water is what happens, but it also prevents you from absorbing important things like fat soluble vitamins. It's an alcohol, so it solubilizes the fats too. So yeah, you know what? I've recommended it in a pinch for occasional use, but you know, I've heard of people taking it like every day for long periods of time. I'm like, no, don't do that. That's not a good idea.
I do hear of people using magnesium citrate, like those bottles that you can get that are pretty cheap, and
Yeah.
they'll just drink a whole bottle to clean out. We're not recommending that for you guys, but I do know, well, maybe it's really not that bad, but I do know people
Why
do.
not? It's
Right.
not that bad. You actually absorb some of the magnesium. So you're getting the benefit of the magnesium for your own body, and it cleans out the intestines without causing any damage.
Yeah, maybe just make sure you're going to plan to stay home for a little while if you're going to do that. But okay. The other thing that I'm curious to know, let's say someone does not include a lot of fiber in their diet right now. Maybe they're carnivores and they're like, okay, I need to add some more fiber. Can you just go all in and increase your fiber tremendously? Or is this something that you should slowly start to add in?
Good question. Some people do really well with just changing their diet. You know, it's okay. They just start eating salads and they're okay with that. But you know what? It depends on the bacteria, because some people just don't have the bacterial resilience to be able to digest that. So then they get gas and bloating and diarrhea or constipation or intestinal problems because their bacteria won't digest that food that they're eating now.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Maybe start slower then. See how you
Start slow. Yeah. Yeah. If you're on a total carnivore diet, it's a good idea to start slow and add the fiber in a little bit at a time.
All right. So 2 questions. What is the daily recommended amount of fiber that, I don't know who the governing authority is who tells you how much fiber you should have? And then how much do you recommend that someone has?
Okay. So the recommendation for the amount of fiber is about the average American gets about 9 grams a day, and they say 20 grams is good. 40 grams is actually and more is the best. Dr. Bolsheviks talks about groups of people that live on purely vegetables. They're gathering. They just gather vegetables, and they get 100 grams a day of fiber. That's a lot of fiber. It's hard to get 40 grams. It's hard when I try to get 40 grams a day. It's a lot of food. You have a plate of salad. I'm talking like a 10-inch dinner plate full of salad, 4 grams. An apple, 3 grams. An avocado is like 4 grams. No, it's more than that. 5 grams, depending on the size. A potato is actually a good source of fiber. But we're talking about your foods like a whole meal having 5, 6, maybe 10 grams, and that's like a vegetarian diet. A serving of broccoli is like roughly 4 grams. So you're talking about maybe 4 to 8 grams of fiber in a meal. How are you going to get 40 grams? That's a lot of food. So yeah, it's hard.
I think that would be a really good homework assignment for everyone on the webinar today. For this next week, keep track of your fiber. See how much fiber you actually eat in a day. I think it may surprise you, some of you. If you've been on the webinar for a while, maybe you're already doing this, but maybe you want to look back over the past week and just kind of think about the things that you've been eating and how much fiber you have been getting. I know that I really do not get a lot of fiber, and I actually do use fiber greens daily, but everyone's a little bit different. I know Dr. Saunders, we say this all the time. He is not someone who says you should get your health benefits from your supplements unless they're needed. He'd prefer that you get them through food. But there is the option for fiber greens, and it has been wildly popular. So I will just tell you that you can find it at bartonnutrition.com. We have 2 flavors for that. What is the difference really? We touched on this briefly, but if someone is using a fiber supplement versus food, what is the difference there? Is it the added fillers that typically come in the fiber drinks, or what is it?
The main difference is that if you're taking Benefiber, then they're taking fiber out of wheat, and you're getting this one little type of a cellulose fiber. Or if you're getting a fructooligosaccharide, you're just getting one little fiber. Whereas if you're eating an apple, you're getting pectin, which is a fiber, and you're getting insoluble fiber and soluble fiber. You're getting a combination of fiber when you eat the food. So if you're eating mushrooms have fiber that you can't find anywhere else. It's actually really important. And then if you're eating like jicama has fiber in it, but it's a lot of different kinds of fiber. And that's where Dr. Bolsheviks talks in his book, Fiber Fueled, is having a broad spectrum. Whereas when you're eating a supplement, you're getting narrow. Even though we tried to put several different types of fiber in fiber greens, and that's great because it's different types of fiber. It's not the same as food where you're getting 10 or 15 or 20 different types.
So this would also then lead me to believe that it's not always better to eat the same food every single day for every meal.
No, you know what? There's a lot of good reasons not to eat the same food every day. Variety, not only is it the spice of life, it's really important for getting your nutrients. If you eat the same nutrients, like they've done studies on people with magnesium is one where they gave people a dose of magnesium every day, and over time they get resistant to absorption of that magnesium because it's too much. It's daily of the same thing. And then so whatever that food is missing, so you're going to get a lot of one food and you're going to not absorb it very well after a while, and then you're going to get there's whatever it's missing, you're not going to get enough of. So eating the same thing every day is actually not a good idea.
And we've mentioned this, I can't remember what this is called, but back in the olden days, when they used to eat certain vegetables at different seasons, whatever happened to be in season during that time seemed to work best for their bodies, even based on where they live. And we typically don't do that as much anymore because we have freezers and we eat things that have preservatives and that type of thing. But there obviously is a lot of, what is that called what is that called? We've talked about this. Eating for the seasons or.
Eating for the season.
Yeah. And just so that you're not eating, maybe tomatoes for every single meal or cucumbers every single meal or a certain fruit or vegetable or whatever. But okay, good information. Just kind of interesting. See, we need to try new foods. We need to travel to try new foods, different cultures, different things like that, right? That's what I'm hearing. Hopefully my husband's listening. I'm sure he is. So, okay. Let's dig into some of these questions. I'm going to show you once again. Here's the Healthy Heart Solution Kit. So this is the basis of what we were talking about today. So I think we have a lot of you who are new. We have a lot of you who have been here before, but if you're not familiar with this, you can find this at bartonwebinar.com. This is our newest solution kit. And so this has, Dr. Saunders, you did, I think, a year of high fiber, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Every year I try a different diet, depending on whatever it is. So I did a lot of research on omega-3s. So now I'm focusing on getting enough omega-3s. I'm even adding a supplement, which I don't usually supplement things, but I'm supplementing omega-3. Adding flaxseed to my oatmeal, stuff like that. And so, yeah, a year of high fiber diet changed my life. And it's kind of embarrassing, but I'll tell you about it. I've lived with constipation most of my life, and man, a high fiber diet just changed it. Like, I don't have any problems anymore. I'm good.
Yes, that's awesome. Nothing's off the table to talk about here. We're talking about health, so this is good. You know what I think I'm going to share? I'm going to share my screen and show you guys.
People tell me things they even told me, well, I wouldn't tell my priest this, but I can tell you, they tell me things. Oof.
Yeah, we've had some good conversations with Dr. Saunders at our team meetings about lots of health things. Guys, take a look at this. You see this omega-3 right here? Dr. Saunders, can you tell us anything about this?
Yeah. This so the omega-3 one is it is omega-3 without omega-6. That's really important. The other thing, it generally has more omega-3 than most other ones. So the 1200 milligram, the one I was taking before I got this was I had to take 3 capsules, and it had a little bit more omega-6 than I wanted. So this doesn't have omega-6, and it has more omega-3. So it's two capsules is 1200 milligrams. So it's good.
So this is brand new, guys. You know what? And we haven't even really talked about this on the webinar. So I don't even know how many of these are in stock. So if I was you, I would go get it right now because I don't even know if I should be announcing it. But you can use code webinar25. You'll save 25%. If you go to the bartonnutrition.com, you'll find this. We maybe have sent an email about this. I don't know if anybody is on the team and they know for sure. I think I have seen the emails. I just don't know if they've gone out. So here you go, guys. You've seen it here first. Plus, look at that bottle. It is beautiful. Good job, team. Lovely. I like that color. All right. It's so pretty and so good. And I'm excited about this. This makes me really happy. When I first started with Barton Publishing, we didn't have any supplements at all. So we were having to find all of these things. I've said this before, we have a Synachroma product that we use. There really probably isn't anyone who doesn't need Synachroma, but we talk about it a lot on our fixed blood sugar webinar. Has the selenium, chromium, vitamin D, all of these things that we were buying in separate bottles. And now they're all in one in this pretty little package. And we don't need to go to the store and find it in 3 different places. We're just saving a lot of money. So I'm really excited about the things that we're doing here. Okay, let's go ahead. We need to move on. Healthy Heart Solution Kit. I want to talk about something, guys. If you have yours with you while you're watching this webinar, open that bad boy up. I think we go to page 81 and 83, maybe. I'll check. 83. Here we have our list of recipes. These are high fiber recipes that have come in from various people on the Barton team. So check those out. Those of you who are doing the Diabetes Solution Kit, let's briefly chat about that. You can still do high fiber and low carb, correct, Dr. Saunders?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can do high fiber. In fact, if you look, even when you're in phase 1, there's the free foods, and all the free foods are high fiber and low carb.
Yeah. So you're going to want to tailor this a little bit different if you're someone who is reversing your type 2 and you're also, maybe you have heart disease or you're trying to avoid that. Well, you'll want to tailor this a little bit, but I just want to show you this for those of you who are looking to have a healthy heart. You still get some pancakes. Okay. They don't have the bad flours. They're still good food. Steel cut oats. I did read not everyone tolerates oats the same. My personal recommendation would just be to find the gluten-free oats. Sometimes they do have to be labeled that way. I feel like people tolerate those a little bit better, but
yeah,
you figure out.
My daughter got she got gluten-free. We were all together cooking together, and she got the what was it? The high fiber tortillas. and they were kind of like cardboard.
Well, yeah. I feel like whenever I'm using a tortilla or something like that, it's really just to eat whatever's in the middle anyway. So I
Yeah,
don't care that much about what it tastes like.
that's true.
Homemade granola by Kevin G. He's probably on the webinar. We call him Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye has put his Dr. Saunders. You probably have a very similar granola recipe. I bet this is similar
Yep,
to yours.
very similar. Mine's a little more simple, but
Yes.
there's
Yep. So
yeah.
there's a lot of good stuff in here, guys. You're not going to be missing out. There's a homemade hummus, a lentil salmon salad, Brussels sprouts. Not everyone loves Brussels sprouts, but I think you're going to like this one. So you're going to want to check
Yeah.
that out. Lentil soup. I think, guys, there's even a chocolate cake recipe in here that you may want to check out. It's not made with the traditional things. And we have tried Cheryl's chocolate cake. Oh, here it is, the black bean chocolate cake. I think it's best if you don't tell anybody that it's called black bean chocolate cake. You just call it chocolate cake. People don't need to know that it's black beans because they're not even going to know. So we should have adjusted the title. Just chocolate cake. That's all it is. Anyway, there's a lot of good stuff in here. So guys, you can also use that code webinar25 to save 25% on this Healthy Heart Solution Kit. So go to bartonwebinar.com. You can sign up for webinars there, see past webinars that we've done. They're posted on YouTube. So subscribe to that channel and check out all of these things that we're talking about. Lots of good stuff. Okay, it's time. We got to dig into these questions here. We don't always get a lot of time with Dr. Saunders. So now I feel like I've just been sitting here chatting with my friend. But now we got to go to the questions. Okay, here we go. Iman said, welcome back, Iman. Should I ask my cardiologist for what I think is called a CPR test, checking for heart inflammation to prevent heart attacks? Okay, not CPR.
No, CRP. C-reactive protein. That's a useful test, and it's good to know if you have inflammation. So the CRP test, there's other ones too, a sedimentation rate. You should also know what your lipoprotein A, this is in the book. We talk about this in the book, about which test you should ask for. Most of the times the cardiologist would already have done these, but not necessarily. So it would be good to ask for the ones that haven't been done.
Right. Okay. Berberine. Let's chat about berberine. Krish is asking if berberine is anti-inflammatory.
Okay, as far as actually decreasing inflammation directly, no. There is an indirect effect though. Berberine works by decreasing the use of sugar for energy, and glucose causes more oxygen-free radicals than burning fat for energy. So in that sense, it lowers the oxygen-free radicals and lowers inflammation, but not directly. It's an indirect effect. And so berberine, the reason it's so good for us today is because it is for societies that eat too much. It's for too much. Whatever too much is, berberine helps. And that's the big benefit of berberine. If you were to take berberine and you lived in I don't know, some society where you only got one meal a day, it probably wouldn't be of much help to you because you already make a whole bunch of cyclic AMP because your stomach's going to be empty most of the day. So you can fast and get all the benefits of berberine plus more. And you can also take berberine. So berberine, it does, yes, lower inflammation, but indirectly, it helps you burn fat for energy. It blocks you from burning sugar for energy. So it limits cancer. It's really good for prevention of the growth of cancer. And it reverses heart disease. There's been some really good studies on it decreases cholesterol deposits and works a whole lot better than statins. So a statin drug, for example, has never been shown to reverse heart disease. The best studies that were done, the best they could ever do is slow the progression of heart disease. Probably because it increases the nitric oxide, and we talked about that in the blood vessels, and not because it decreases cholesterol. But berberine, on the other hand, actually does improve heart disease. So yeah, berberine is amazing.
Interesting. Okay. Another thing that has come up about in the anti-inflammatory discussion is boswellia. That's anti-inflammatory, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Boswellia is actually really good. It's been compared head to head with naproxen. They did a study comparing naproxen to boswellia, and it was equivalent. The people couldn't tell when they were taking naproxen and when they were taking boswellia. But the benefit is the boswellia does not slow healing, where the NSAIDs all slow the healing process. Boswellia does not. It allows normal healing. So I often recommend boswellia for my post-operative patients, people who had like hip replacement surgeries. And the doctor says, well, we can't give you opiates because you might get addicted to them. And they also slow healing, by the way, opiates do too. So all you can take is Tylenol, and they go, that's not enough. So they call me and I say, okay, try the boswellia. And it generally is pretty good. It's pretty effective.
Awesome. Okay. Ernest said, you guys make things interesting and very funny, especially today. Love it. That's because the boss is gone. Joe's not here. No, I'm just kidding. You're usually on this webinar, actually. That's funny. Thank you, though. We appreciate it. Eric is back. And okay, so Alexander said that I mentioned oats and gluten, but oats don't have gluten. You know what? A while ago, I really was avoiding gluten. And for some reason, it was like a lot of oats ended up having gluten. Why would that be?
And the problem is not the oats. The grain oats does not have the gliadin or the type of gluten that barley and rye and wheat have. However, oats are often processed in the same mills where they grind wheat and barley and rye. So because of the processing, the location of the processing, there's often wheat or gluten in the oats. And so you can buy gluten-free oats, and it's not that they're grown special or anything, it's their processing is in a separate plant where they only process oats and not any of the other grains.
I know some people with celiac have struggled with oats for that reason. So that's good to discuss. All right, let's see here. Don says, several weeks ago, you mentioned a research project and that of which vitamin C IV therapy was to, then it says something about fast, at least a 3-day fast.
Yeah. Okay, so it was a cancer therapy, right? With chemotherapy or IV vitamin C. So they did treatment-resistant cancers, and they used IV vitamin C. So they fasted 2 days, gave an IV vitamin C, and then fasted 1 day after. So it's a 3-day fast with the vitamin C in the middle. And the vitamin C by itself didn't work very well. The fasting by itself didn't work very well, but the two of them together really had a significant impact on even treatment-resistant cancers. So that work was done by Dr. Walter Longo at USC in Los Angeles, California.
And I think he's saying Walter with a V, like Victor.
Yeah, Valter. Yeah, Walter Longo, Longo, PhD, the researcher in longevity.
Yeah,
it's great because his last name is Longo, and he's a longevity expert.
Make you live longo. All right. Okay, Krish says this fall time, and we have already had several types of vegetables such as butternut squash and American pumpkin, and very soon yams will be available in the grocery stores. Are fibers from these, I don't know for sure, but would you recommend those?
Oh, absolutely. They're wonderful. Yams are a great source of fiber and all kinds of squash. Those are all great sources of fiber.
Awesome. Oh, the Garcias are in the house. Hello, Vilo and Barbie. They said the tortillas that they use are from Ole Mexican Foods. They have 15 carbs, 11 grams is fiber per 10-inch tortilla. These actually taste really good. We can eat Mexican food again. Burritos. We love you guys. I love
They
it.
love burritos.
Yes. Hey, I get it.
Mexican food is so good.
I know. Okay. Eric says, let's see, cabbage soup. I put cabbage, garlic, tomato sauce, and spices in it. What? Okay. Do you have a cabbage soup recipe that you had talked about maybe on a webinar at one point or recommended a cabbage soup?
Yeah. I remember I was talking about that. I used the red cabbage, and I put linguiça. I chopped up linguiça, which is a Portuguese Brazilian sausage, and put onions in it and garlic. And it was a great soup. It was actually really good. My daughter said, "What's the recipe?" And I gave it to her. So she made it in college, and her roommates were like, "Oh, you're the best cook in the world."
That's awesome. Okay. Well, hopefully that helps you, Eric. Guys, I'd be curious to know, those of you who are using the Healthy Heart Solution Kit, what are some of your favorite things to eat? What does your daily schedule look like in the morning? Dr. Saunders, you've talked about this. What are some of the things that you prefer in the morning? I think at one point it was granola. You did some granola with some other foods. Where are you at today? What are you doing for breakfast?
Well, whatever everybody else ate the night before. I don't eat after 6, and so people. So in my house, they tend to eat late. I got a lot of teenagers, and they're out and they come in late. You know how it is.
Yep.
And so so whatever was cooked the night before is generally what I eat. So this morning I had rice, vegetables, fried rice. It was actually an Indian style fried rice for breakfast with avocado. It was really good.
I'm curious also, we get a lot of questions here about protein. Where do you see protein fitting into this high fiber diet, and how much do we need?
Okay, excellent question. Thank you. That is actually really important. Protein is really misunderstood. When research is done on protein, it turns out that too much protein is not good for you. Too much protein stimulates the mTOR gene and other metabolic processes that lead to things like cancer. And people who don't have this mTOR actually never get cancer. So if you can shut that off, how do you shut that off? Well, if you don't eat protein, you actually don't turn it on. But you gotta eat protein sometime. Here's what it is. If you are eating a fresh fruits and vegetables, if you're eating a high fiber diet, you will get enough protein. So all of your whole grains, nuts, seeds, broccoli has more protein than mother's milk. You cannot avoid getting enough protein if you're eating good food. Now, if you're eating processed foods, if you live on white rice and nothing else, you can get a protein deficiency. That actually has happened. That's known. That's a thing. So the key is just eating whole foods, fresh foods. You're going to get enough protein. So your high fiber diet is going to have protein in it.
All right. Okay. I think that's it for today as far as questions go, guys. Anything else that we need to chat about the high fiber diet? Anything else we need to share?
I think that's pretty much it.
I think so too. Guys, this was great. Dr. Saunders, thank you so much. We so appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you next week.
All right. Bye-bye. And guys, I just want to remind you of bartonwebinar.com. Again, that is the site where you will go to find information about the 2 webinars that we do each week. You'll find a link to our YouTube channel, some products, our top 10 actually, I don't even know if it's 10. Our top asked questions are there, and any other information that you might need about us. Don't forget to use the code webinar25 if you decide to purchase anything today or in the upcoming weeks. That'll save you 25%. So come back next week. Again, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central, we have our fixed blood sugar webinar, and that is heavily focused on type 2 diabetes. And then on Thursdays at 12 noon is when we do this webinar, our Healthy Heart webinar. So invite a friend, bring your questions, and maybe keep track of your fiber this week. We want to know how much fiber you're getting. Actually, you don't even have to share it with us, but it might be just good for you to see where you're at and try to increase it. All right, you guys, thanks so much. See you next week. God bless.